At 14, my mom told me to step out of the family photo because I didn't match. She smiled for the camera like nothing happened, while I stood on the sidelines, trying not to cry. That night, I skipped dinner and sat alone in my room, sketching, a life where I finally belonged. Years later, that life made headlines, and she wasn't in the picture. My name is Elena Park, and this is the story of how my mom made me feel like I didn't belong, and how I built a life so bright, it blinded her. Growing up, I didn't think of myself as invisible, not at first. I was shy, sure, but I got good grades, cleaned up after myself, and didn't ask for much. I was the kind of kid you could count on to stay quiet in the car while the adults talked. And for a while, that seemed to make everyone happy. Then Carla married Rick, and everything shifted. Rick had 2 kids, Brooke and Jared. They were loud, athletic, and obsessed with attention. Carla called them a breath of fresh air. Suddenly, our walls filled with photos of soccer trophies, dance recitals, and sun-drenched beach days. My artwork, sketches I had carefully framed and hung in the hallway, disappeared one by one, replaced by shots of the new family. No one said anything about it, not even when I asked. Carla loved posting about us online, matching outfits, coordinated family fun days, brunches with hashtags, but I was always cropped out. Or standing off to the side, blurry, mid-blink, forgotten. I tried to talk to her once. "Do you not want me in the pictures?" I asked one evening while she scrolled through filters on her phone. She sighed like I had asked her to donate a kidney. "Elena, don't make everything so dramatic. You're so sensitive." That was Carla's favorite phrase. "You're too sensitive." As if my hurt feelings were a personality flaw, as if I should be grateful just to exist quietly in the background. I stopped asking questions after that. Holidays were the worst. Rick's kids got new bikes and iPads. I got socks or school supplies. One Christmas, they opened matching North Face jackets, while I got a notebook with my name spelled wrong on the cover. Carla smiled and said, "You like drawing? Don't you?" I wanted to disappear into the floor. The hardest part wasn't the gifts. It was the way she acted like everything was normal. Like I was just ungrateful for not clapping over a clearance notebook while everyone else unwrapped their second round of gifts. But not everyone ignored it. My grandmother, Carla's mom, lived a few towns over in a little house with wind chimes on the porch. Her name was June. She had gray streaks in her hair and always smelled like cinnamon tea. She called me Lena and said I had my grandfather's hands, strong and steady, perfect for creating things. She never asked me to explain myself. She just saw me. That was enough. When things got bad at home, I started spending weekends at Grandma June's. Carla didn't mind. In fact, she seemed relieved to have one less person to arrange around her curated life. At Grandma's, I got to breathe. She noticed I was always sketching, faces, buildings, fashion designs, and asked if I'd ever considered graphic design. I told her I didn't even know what that was. The next week, she signed me up for a free weekend class at the local library. Then another. And another. "Don't let anyone shrink your world, Lena," she told me one night, while we sat under a throw blanket watching old black and white movies. "You're bigger than they want you to believe." Carla never asked where I was going or what I was learning. If she ever noticed I was getting better at design, she didn't say a word. One day, she handed me a shopping list and said, "Make yourself useful and pick this stuff up while I take Brooke to her modeling audition." I looked at the list. Shampoo, snacks, candles. All name brand, of course. She shoved a $10 bill in my hand, like that would cover it. When I pointed it out, she rolled her eyes. "Then use your own money. You're always at Grandma's house anyway. I'm sure she spoils you." That was the moment I realized. Carla didn't see me as her daughter. I was just an accessory to manage. A kid who didn't fit the aesthetic, and if I didn't fit, I didn't matter. I started journaling more, sketching late into the night, planning an escape I couldn't name yet. Grandma June encouraged me to keep every drawing, every idea. She told me, "Someday, you'll need to show the world what they missed." She was right. But back then, I was just a kid with a pencil and a growing ache in my chest. I didn't want revenge. I just wanted to feel like I belonged somewhere. High school was when I realized I was officially invisible. Not just overlooked, invisible. My mom, Carla, had perfected the art of smiling through me. If I got an A, she'd nod like I'd told her I'd cleaned the kitchen. But if Brooke made honor roll, oh, she'd post about it on Facebook like her daughter just cured cancer. Brooke and Jared were Rick's kids, my step-siblings. When Carla married Rick, it was like she'd rebranded our family. We were suddenly the Bradfords, not the Parks, not me. She changed our last names to match Rick's. Mine was the only one that didn't take. I didn't argue. I just quietly stopped trying to be seen. They went on ski trips in the winter, beach weekends in the summer. "You don't like cold weather," Carla said, when I asked why I wasn't invited. The year after it was, "You burn too easily." Eventually, she stopped pretending. It's just easier when it's the four of us. So while they posed for sunset pictures on the beach, I stayed at home. But not with them. I'd pack a bag and stay with my grandma, June. Grandma June was my mom's mother, but you'd never guess it. She lived in a tiny yellow house with creaky floors and the smell of lavender always floating in the air. Her hands were warm and always smelled like soap, and she never asked me to smile for a picture. She just handed me a plate of cookies and said, "Let it out." And I would. That's also where I started to draw. I had this old iPad, probably a hand-me-down from one of Carla's regift piles. I used a $9 stylus from the clearance bin and started sketching. Fashion, logos, fake magazine ads, anything that let me feel like I was creating something that mattered, something that couldn't be cropped out of a photo. Grandma noticed. 1. Saturday afternoon, she walked into the room and sat beside me while I was designing a poster for a fake coffee brand. She studied it quietly, then said, "Have you ever thought about doing this for real?" I shrugged. "It's just something I like." She didn't press, just said, "Keep everything you make. We'll need it later." That's how it began. Every weekend I'd bring my digital sketches to Grandma's house. She'd print them out, slide them into plastic sleeves, and organize them into a big leather binder she called Elena's Book of Brilliance. I thought it was silly at first, but later it would be everything. In my junior year of high school, Grandma June enrolled me in a digital design class at the community center downtown. Carla had said no, of course. Too expensive, even though she'd just spent $400 on a limited edition purse for Brooke's birthday. Grandma paid for it herself. She even arranged a ride for me so Carla wouldn't know. I think she always knew I'd need a way out. And then, one afternoon, she proved it. It was after school, and I was sitting at her kitchen table, talking about how my counselor said I could try applying to art colleges if I built a proper portfolio. I was excited, but I didn't let myself hope too much. Carla had already laughed when I brought up college at home. "Design? That's not a real job, Elena." Grandma didn't laugh. She got up and walked into her bedroom. I heard her opening drawers. When she came back, she was holding a sealed envelope. She slid it across the table. "Your grandfather set up a trust fund for education. I added to it a little, here and there. It's in your name. Been waiting for the right time to tell you." I just stared at her. "You're going to college, Elena," she said, like it was already a fact. And I did. I applied to 6 schools, got into 3, and accepted a full scholarship to a top visual design program at a private university 3 states away. The acceptance letter came in a thick, glossy envelope. Carla never opened it. She didn't even notice it in the mail. I left the day after graduation. No party, no photos, just Grandma and me, packing up my thrift store suitcase and loading it into a bus. College was the first place I ever felt like a person. My roommate Tessa was loud and chaotic and loved everything I made. She showed my designs to her friend who worked at a local boutique, and just like that, I got my first freelance gig designing their seasonal lookbook. After that, things picked up fast. A local ad agency hired me part-time. Then a brand consulting firm offered me a summer internship. I stayed up late, worked weekends, and stacked my resume while Carla posted filtered brunch photos with the caption, "Yes, family first." I didn't say a word. 4 years later, I graduated summa cum laude. I had offers lined up before I even walked across the stage. One of those offers came from C&V, a marketing firm known for launching big names in fashion and lifestyle. Their executive director had seen my student work during a national conference and emailed me directly. "Elena," he wrote, "your eye for storytelling is rare, let's talk." I didn't tell Carla. She thought I was working at a cafe. Instead, I quietly moved into a tiny apartment near the firm and started building something no one could take away. The years passed. I climbed the ladder, from junior designer to art, director to lead creative strategist by 27. I bought my own apartment, took Grandma June to Paris for her birthday, paid off her house, got a dog named Pepper who wore little boots in the winter. Carla, still posting family selfies with Brooke and Jared, still pretending I didn't exist. And then, everything changed. It was a Thursday morning when the call came. I was sitting in the break room, sipping coffee and finalizing a pitch deck when my assistant knocked. Channel 7's morning show confirmed, "You're live next week. They want to feature you as part of their Young Visionaries segment." I nearly dropped my mug. The segment aired the following Monday. A cozy set, smiling anchors, and me, talking about creative storytelling, brand identity, and my journey. From unseen teen to industry name. They even pulled up some of my early sketches from college. Grandma had saved everything, of course. The comments flooded in. "Inspiring! So talented! Where has she been hiding?" Carla found out the way everyone else did. She was hosting a brunch for Jared's new real estate license when the TV showed my face. I wasn't there to see it, but I imagine her fork froze halfway to her mouth. I imagine Brooke blinked. Jared made a dumb joke, because suddenly, I wasn't invisible anymore. I was everywhere. The magazine features, the LinkedIn spotlight, a campaign billboard in Times Square. The girl she told to stay out of the picture had just become the face of an entire creative revolution, and that was only the beginning. The message came 3 days after the morning show aired. "Elena, it's your mother. My 50th birthday is next month. We're doing a nice brunch at Belmore Gardens. You probably don't know it. Very exclusive. Be there, 11 a.m., sharp. Don't embarrass me. No. How are you? No. I'm proud of you." Just a demand with a little insult folded in, like always. I almost deleted it. But instead, I laughed. Not out of spite. Just amazement. 13 years of silence, and this was the grand comeback. A brunch invite framed as a royal summons. That night, over tea in Grandma June's kitchen, I told her about the message. She didn't say much, just raised an eyebrow and asked, "So what are you bringing her?" I smiled and pulled out a small envelope. Inside was a certificate, an all-inclusive luxury spa retreat in the Swiss Alps. Private chef, mountain view suite, chauffeur. 5 figures, easy. Grandma nearly dropped her teacup. "Elena, she doesn't deserve this." "Oh, I know," I said, sipping calmly. "But I'm not giving it to her. I just want her to see what she gave up." She chuckled. "You are your own kind of wicked." The day of the brunch, I wore a clean black jumpsuit and a simple gold necklace. No designer logos, no flashy heels. Just quiet elegance, the kind people miss until it's already left the room. I arrived 5 minutes early. Belmore Gardens was exactly what I expected. Faux fancy, watered-down mimosas. Decor that looked expensive if you'd never actually been. Anywhere. The hostess led me to the private garden room. Everyone was already seated. Brooke, Jared, Rick, and a dozen people I hadn't seen since I was a teenager. Carla sat at the head of the table, dripping in gold sequins and self-importance. When she saw me, she blinked like I was a ghost. "Oh. You actually came," she said, forcing a smile. "You could have dressed up more for the occasion." I just nodded and took a seat at the far end of the table. The brunch unfolded like a low-budget soap opera. Brooke gave Carla a personalized jewelry box. Jared handed over a monogrammed designer tote. Each gift was met with fake tears and exaggerated gratitude. Then it was my turn. I reached into my purse and placed a small, neatly wrapped box in front of her. No fanfare, no speech, just a soft, "Happy birthday." Carla stared at it, eyes narrowing. "This better not be one of those minimalist gifts people post about. Honestly, Elena, you show up in basic clothes, take a taxi here, and now this?" She didn't even open the box, just shoved it back across the table. You always had a flair for disappointment. The room went quiet. Even Brooke looked uncomfortable, picked up the box, brushed off a crumb, and said calmly, "That's a certificate for a luxury retreat in Switzerland. The kind of place where people go to disappear from the noise." Her face paled. "You're lying." "I was going to give it to you," I said, slipping it back into my purse. "But now I realize you don't want me. You just want what I can give you. You always have." I stood up, straightened my jacket, and gave her one last look. "You told me to stay out of the picture, so I did. But I didn't disappear. I just got sharper. Then I walked out. No one followed me. The taxi was waiting outside. As we pulled away, I saw Carla rush to the front entrance, phone in hand. She was already dialing. I didn't answer. For the next 2 weeks, the messages poured in. "Let's talk. You overreacted. We're still family. Brooke needs help with branding. Maybe you two can collaborate. We're redoing the kitchen. Could use a creative eye." Each message more transparent than the last. I blocked her on everything. But she found a way around it, showing up at Grandma June's house with fake tears and demands. Grandma calmly told her to leave. "You gave up your daughter years ago. Don't act surprised that she doesn't want you now." That night, I sat on Grandma's porch and watched the city lights blink through the trees. Then I pulled out the Swiss retreat certificate and smiled. "I changed the name," I said. Grandma blinked. "What?" "It's yours now. You always wanted to see the Alps." She stared at me, mouth open. "Elena, I don't need this." I leaned in and took her hand. "You don't need it, but you deserve it. You saw me when no one else did. You let me draw. You called me brilliant. You saved every page. That's what mothers do," she cried. I let her. For the first time in a long time, I felt full. Not in a flashy, Instagrammable way, but in the quiet, grounded way that tells you you're safe. Carla will keep telling people I'm ungrateful. That I abandoned her. That I owe her something. But I don't. I owe everything to the woman who made room for me when the rest of the world said, "Not now. Not you." The family photo might have been perfect without me. But the life I built, it's better because she wasn't in it.